kids, welcome to Lesson 8, Creating Functions with Parameters. Today's lesson is called Under the Sea. In the next several challenges, you'll be working to improve one program that draws an underwater scene. Each time you finish a puzzle and move on to the next one, your code will be pulled forward and you'll get a new instructions telling you what to do. So this seems like we are going to work on something that is progressively going to build off each other to a final, larger program. Sounds kind of fun. We have some additional instructions down here. Read through the program provided to get a basic understanding of what it does. Of course, we'll do that. We're going to add function calls in the early lines of the program. Specifically, we're going to add 2 fish, 2 starfish, and 2 pieces of seagrass. We do have a hint here. You'll need to call move to before drawing a second fish, starfish, or seagrass. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the second one because it will be drawn exactly over the first one. Makes sense. And test your code, and finally move on to the next one. They do provide us with a drawing here. Ooh, look how pretty that is. This looks like 2 goldfish, 2 seagrasses, and 2 little starfish. They did say that they provided us some code, so let's hit run here real quick. There you go. Ours is just a single, and we're going to make it into a double. Before we get to that, let's actually look at the code and familiarize ourselves with it. So our first comment says prepare turtle to draw. That's a hide and a pinup feature. That just makes sure that we don't see anything when we hit run. Second comment here says first draw the background. We have a function draw background. I'm sure that'll be at the bottom of the code. Move down a couple lines, we have a move to and then a draw starfish. Should have a comment there. We'll keep reading through and fix stuff at the end. We have a seagrass function here. This says it'll be drawn at the bottom of the screen. We have a draw fish function next. And then a background function. That looks like that might go better up top. As we go down, we start defining more of the functions. This one looks like the starfish. The next one looks like the seagrass here, 2 parts, one for color, one for the actual wiggly lines. And then we have our fish finally, and that's set up to 3 parts, the pen, the body, and the tail. Now, just for my own liking, I'm just gonna move some stuff around. It is up to you whether you do this. I like a nice clean code. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to comment out on my draw starfish. This is just going to be named starfish for me. Now just help me quickly look through my code and identify what I'm actually trying to do. The next one here, I said I saw a part that has a background. I think this for me looks much better under the background part. So I'm just going to combine those two because those are 2 backgrounds. That makes me just feel a little better. Looking through, everything else looks pretty good. I'm just going to go into the text-based editor of this. We will be covering this a little more in depth at another point. All the way through, looks pretty good. I'll go back to the blocks. At this point, I'm ready to start doubling up and making my picture look like theirs. So the first thing I'm going to do is the first function. So let's look through. First function here is a starfish. What I'm going to do is Control C for copy, Control V to paste, and I'm just going to make 2 of them. If I reset and ran right now, I would end up with 2 starfish. They would just be one on top of each other. I'm going to change some of the numbers here, so one of them is a little lower than the other one. I'm going to change the first one because if you look up here to my drawing, you'll see the first one is behind the seagrass. So if I hit reset, I can kind of come over here and look and see that it is probably somewhere around 40 to 45. So that's the first number I'm going to put in. So I'm going to go to my first starfish here, X first, hit in 40, and hit run. If I look up, it's a little different, not much. I bet if I adjust this over maybe to 45, I might get a little closer to theirs. 45, reset, run. Take a look at theirs. That is pretty close. The other thing I noticed here is my second starfish is just a little lower. So I'm actually going to go to that second starfish. That's going to be the 400 number. Remember, this is 320 pixels by 450. So I just want to get this number closer to 450. So I'm at 400. Let's go to 425. Reset and run. That's pretty good. Actually, now that I look at it, it was actually maybe a little higher. So let's go the other way. I'm going to change this number now to 375. Reset, run. That looks much closer. Much happier with that one. Let's move on to the next one. We have some seagrass. I'm going to do the same thing. Control C to copy, Control V. I know my first seagrass is right there. If I hit my reset again and look over, I would say it's somewhere around 90. So let's look at our first X number there, turn that to 90. Let's hit run. That's pretty good. I bet you if I go to an even 100, it's gonna look perfect. Reset, run. There you go, that's pretty close. I could probably dial it in even better if I would like to, maybe 105. And look at that, that's nearly perfect. So I have two objects doubled at this point. I'm going to work on the third one, the fish here. Much like the first two, Control C, Control V. Looking at my picture, my second fish is significantly lower, close to the origin of the turtle. That's going to be somewhere around 180, 225. So I'm simply going to plug in those numbers, 180 and 225. I'm going to hit run. Whoop, there you go. It's looking pretty close right there. I'm pretty happy with this. Looking through my code and looking back at the instructions, it looks like I did everything they wanted. 2 fish, 2 starfish, 2 pieces of seagrass, used my move to function here. So I feel pretty confident when I hit finish, it's going to tell me I did a good job. So you ready to see how we did? Let's hit finish. Good job. All right, we're going to move on to the next lesson. I'll see you there.